cheap and reliable. I'm not calling you cheap and reliable, Jen. Hi folks, today it's walls time. We'll get them up.
We are sun creamed up.
Yeah.
We are so
The
tired
truth is,
and so
we've
hot.
already done 2 videos worth of work already today, and we've got half an hour before the girls come back from school. But we've decided that we definitely need to get some walls up, so
Just need a kick, you know, we need like a lift, literally.
spent about 4 hours trying to get this floor level, and
We need to end on a high, don't we?
right, I think we're ready. We're going to start on the south end. We're going to raise these ones, and then we need to remember to lift in the centre walls before we put the outside east wall up, because otherwise we are going to have a bit of a problem getting them in. There we go. How was that for you?
I feel relieved now, it was stressful.
It's up, and it is pretty plummy.
Yeah, we think so. I don't think plummy is a word.
Well, we're trying to trust our floor. The floor is pretty flat now,
Yeah.
but we can tweak stuff afterwards. That's our go-to phrase right now. We'll tweak it later. Joe's just told me to remind you guys, we are complete amateurs. As many DIY videos we put out, I don't think have we done not structural stud walls really before?
No.
So we are kind of winging it. You don't need too much. We're just putting some adhesive down here. That's more for just to keep it sealed, airtight, and pardon?
How long is it?
How long's what?
Yeah.
It's in place, so all the way up to here. It's kind of, it will remain flexible. It's just a way of keeping it a bit like having a gasket, I guess, there. But really, all of that sheathing and everything is going to be on the outside anyway. And there probably are better flexible adhesives, but multi-stick is cheap and reliable. I'm not calling you cheap and reliable, Jen. Why have we done that? We didn't really want to put the adhesive down yet, because we've still got to get it over the top. Oh no. Told you we were amateurs. Well done. You good? Another minor error. We just plumbed this one up all nicely, but then realised that we hadn't quite got this one on the edge and fixed down yet. Got to make sure we do the bottom first. We'll get there in a minute. Deceptively chunky. Well, at least we didn't go with 6-inch walls. Right, so much filming going on that we're just about running out of memory cards and batteries left, right and centre. So I'll give you a little bit of an outro for this stage on the GoPro. We've done alright for our first wall. We're still fiddling with the levels of the floor. I think it's probably as good as it's going to get now. West wall is all up and braced. I've also, because we haven't got the OSB on at this point, there's nothing stopping it from racking side to side. All it took is just one timber that way, just fixed in, and obviously that immediately stops it from twisting. I mean, I could probably do another one up there, but I think this is probably fine just to hold it plumb on the end until this wall goes in. Now, we did remember to bring up all of our internal walls, so these are the load-bearing internal walls that run down the middle here. They're stacked ready, but the next job is going to be to raise the whole east wall. Now, don't worry, it's not going to be lifted in one. I've just put them up, butted them up, so they're ready to go. It's looking all right so far. It's pretty much going to plan. It's amazing once you get those braces on how solid it feels. And as far as keeping things straight, we of course had our flooring that was really straight because it was the first run to go in. So everything's lined up on that and nailed down. I'm also going to put some big coach screws down kind of every 3 or 4. Pretty usual stuff for raising a stud wall. You can just put a timber on the side there. That just means the bottom won't slip out and drop off, which is quite important if you're up off the floor like we are here. It's not like doing a shed where, you know, you're just off floor level. This is a metre up, so you wouldn't want it slipping off. Another little thing to point out here, this section here, we don't actually have a threshold there. This is a patio door, probably a slider, and the reason I've left that in there is just to keep the panel strong. Means we can carry our centres through, get everything in the right place. When we're happy, we can just cut down there and knock it out. Of course, I've bung a load of adhesive under there, so I haven't nailed it, but I have put adhesive there stupidly, so we'll have to, well, that'll test how strong that is, but we can soon knock that off. Same will happen at the bottom of the front door, which is there. So it's going okay. We'll try and keep all of this together in one video, so we've got the whole frame going up in this episode. So now we can skip ahead to now. Right, today we're back on raising the frame. Jo's just doing a couple of jobs and then she's going to come up. Hopefully we can get the most of this up today. Just pulled out the last 2 wall sections, this one and this one here. They have been sat in the barn because they're the 2 we built indoors. This brace here, because of where it is perfect because we can sit this one up against it and then that should keep us relatively plumb. I'm still not happy about the gap there, but it is what it is now. There's no way that we can pull in this end. Just, it's like a torsion box. You think about how many nails and everything are in now. We should have paid a bit more attention getting that across the end of the steel. What it does mean though is that we can get these walls right. So when we do put the middle wall in, it's okay for it to overhang a little bit here, because what that means is when we join the 2 buildings, they will join in the middle. If we just sat them on the edge of here and we then couldn't get these tight, we'd always have a gap running all the way through, which is no good. So it's actually not a really bad thing, and we will be putting an expanding tape in here anyway, so there's no risk thermally or draft or anything like that. It's just a bit of OCD, I guess. Alright, first panel up, not as straightforward as I'd hoped. Put in this extra stud here, just so we can catch the OSB on the inside here, which is fine, but the problem is our end stud on this one was completely bowed, which is a pain because you can't then level up this one to it. More than anything, that's going to be a result of framing up outside in the wet, then the sun, you know, it's going to twist things.
When there's a gather of water here, what am I doing with this?
That can actually be used underwater, I think.
Oh, okay.
We need to sweep off.
It can be applied to wet surfaces.
Yeah, not ideal. We don't actually need it as an adhesive, it's just kind of sealing. You chipped off all the glue, so that's all good. So we've got our little safety blocks there. We'll just stand this one up. nail down on the floor, step away. Hold it in the middle, hold it in the middle.
No, I like holding a bit.
Temporarily brace that one. Just, we want to check this measurement. We want 3 meters from the outside of there to our center point before we nail this one off, because we could, if we wanted to, either overhang a tiny bit or come in a tiny bit. Right, we're going to lower this one down. We're just doing a test fit.
Are you ready? Weightlifting champions.
Walk it.
I need to get it. Oh my word!
Keep going.
I don't want to let it. Whoa!
Good job. I'm coming, I'm coming. What we're going to do now is we're going to level. No, we're not. We're going to measure from the outside to the outside over there. Before I nail down this plate here, I want to make sure that it is running completely parallel to that side. That side is all anchored. We know the chassis are as tight as they're possibly going to be. So we want to make sure that we're running parallel, because of course when we start sitting trusses on and rafters down the other end, we want that to be nice and straight. That's not the easiest to use outside when it's bright sunshine like this, but we should be fine over 6 meters. This is just a laser distance measure. You can get all sorts of expensive ones. This one is great. I've had it for a few years. Just a simple Amazon one. Joe, can you find you're good at finding the links, aren't you, to this one, if it's still available? We'll put it down in the description. I'm going to measure the outside to the outside. So Joe's going to hold a block on the outside of her stud. 6012. Write it on the stud, yeah? Or on the plate, yeah?
Yeah.
So we're 12mm too wide, but as long as we're consistent, it should be okay. 6014. So a millimetre your way.
2 millimeters, really.
Yeah. What we can do then is do exactly the same up on the wall plate to make sure we're the same up there, because we've got a little bit of an uneven foundation here. So regardless of how plumb things are, we just want to make sure that our walls are together all the way up. Joe's gone off to do the nursery pickup. I'm impatient, so I'm going to try and lift this wall myself. This one's a little bit shorter, I think 4 metre one. So we should be able to get that stood. I'm going to get the blocks in ready so that I can do it with only 2 hands. I've put a screw halfway in up here, so once it's up, this one is completely solid. We can just fire that one in, then I can walk along and sort the other end out. Coming back in now and just trying to sort out this corner while I wait for Joe. What I've done, because I need to pull this one in, pull that one this way, and then fix them all in. I'm using screws at the moment. Just put one in there. A clamp would do the same. Thing, but I've just put a screw in there. That should mean that I can get a hammer on here, pull it across, and then tighten that one in. That should correct everything, I hope. Five, 8, 4, 3. Right, quick rain shower. Dodge that, and now I'm going to carry on. Next wall is a short little stubby one where the front door is. So I think we can get that up. I might just dry this off a little bit. Alright, that time I remembered not to nail off the bottom of the door, because of course we'll be cutting that bit out when we're done. External walls done. Well, I say they're done. They're not really, because these are, in theory, external walls, because these are independent from each other, each half. Hence why at that end they're not screwed together, they're completely loose at the top. What we need to do now is raise up the internal / external walls that join the two together. I know I've kind of explained this before, but they're in pairs, so identical pairs, one to sit each side of that line or the gap. We're going for the first of the internal walls. I can brace them in a similar way diagonally, but I'm also going to run one across on the wall plates, because I think that will, once they're square, because that will hold things in place. Remember, as soon as we get the OSB on, well, that's the key to everything really, but we can't do that until we've got all the walls up. A really weird way to build something, to intentionally leave it unjoined. Can't quite get my head around it. There's quite a few bits and bobs we need to come in and sort out, but that's not to do with getting the walls up, that's just fiddling around afterwards. What I need to do now is get the second half up, and we want these to be tight together. So these are overhanging by about 2 mil, the other one's going to overhang by about 4 mil. Doesn't really matter. The key is to get these two to touch, but remember, we can't screw them together. We're going to have a nightmare otherwise, because we'd end up boarding, insulating, decorating, and then when we go to take them apart to actually move them and site them, we'd end up with screws hidden in the wall. So I've got to be really careful now that I don't just fire a nail in the wrong place or a screw. Well, it's fairly straightforward to get to this point, because we built them on top of each other, so we know they match. This is going to be the most evident bit when we join the two. These are the door linings, but the door linings span both halves, so this is what's going to have to line up when we come to do it. When the OSB's on, it's going to hold everything and stop this racking, which means that when we line them up, it's far more likely to line up how we want. I've also oversized these by a little bit more than you might do normally, just so we've got a little bit more wiggle room and get the lining in. Ideally we need the lining, well, we're going to put the lining in two halves. It would just be the door stop, the door jamb all the way around, that goes in once the building's together. That's kind of a trim piece, so that's fine. It's not like we're building it afterwards. I'll brace it across, and once the trusses are on, that will help. So I'm going to get on and get this last little section in, and we can go home with that warm fuzzy feeling that we've pretty much done it all apart from that end, but we're going to build that end in place. Pretty good to me. Well, things rarely go to plan quite as easy as that. I mean, of course, there is still the last 5%, which is always going to take 95% of the time. But I feel like we've done all right today. That said, it's made what felt like it was going to be quite a big building a little bit smaller. Let's face facts though, we could be in a 4-berth caravan, or we could be in a static caravan. This is certainly going to be a far more comfortable way to do a self-build. Plus it's fun building stuff, right? Sometimes. Now the reason for the order I'm doing things, get the frame up, get the OSB on. That stage is obviously critical because that's what makes it strong as a building. And that will hold everything tight, plumb, level, true. At that point it's going to feel like we've got walls. We can walk around, we can see where those stud walls, where we want them to be. I've done it in pretty much millimetre detail on a screen, but in reality when you come in we might decide we want a slightly deeper wardrobe, for example. So this wall, we'll make it up, we'll tack it in. If we don't like it, we can just shift it that way a little bit. Well, there we go, that was a good day's work. I feel like I'm taking all the credit, but actually Jo built most of these walls with me and she raised the first half of them today. So just because she's not here doesn't mean that I was doing this solo, only the last few bits. It's a beast, it really is a beast. It's probably the biggest shepherd's hut this side of the Severn. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed that one. As always, big thank you to everyone for following along with this project. It's going to be going on for a few months. We've got our sponsor that's Speedy, we've got Patreon, which is an amazing place where amazing people can support this channel, and we give them a few sneak peeks when we get around to it, previews, extra bonus stuff. But there we go, thank you for watching. Remember, if you can, do it yourself, and we'll see you next time.